Today we are in the web audio with Melina,
Hello.
Esteban,
Hello.
and our guest today is Mr. Martin.
Hello.
Hello. So how long have you been working in the Lycée Français?
Well, I've been here since last September, working, so less than a year. However, last May I also did a substitution of about 2 weeks or 3 weeks for a primary teacher. So it's almost a year, if you like.
Yeah. So you have always been a teacher, or have you done something else?
Yes, most of my life, most of my working life, I've been a teacher. I've been a teacher now for I think about 28 years. Although for about 3 years before that, I used to work in what's called a job centre in Britain, which is a place where people can go if they're looking for work, and the people try to help them find work there.
So I have a question. It's not in the list, but how it was when you work as in the job center? How it was?
What was it like? Well, it was very interesting, and you met lots of people. Sometimes it was a little bit difficult if it was hard to find work for them. But I also actually, from that job, I actually decided that I really wanted to go into teaching because one of my jobs was actually to organise what was called a job club. And in that, I helped people give them advice about their CVs and how to make a good application for a job. So to try and present themselves as well as possible for an interview. So actually, in a way, it was a kind of teaching job, which led me, it kind of confirmed that I really wanted to go into teaching.
Okay. So how did you learn Spanish? No, it's not a question. You know how to speak Spanish. I know that, but how long did it take to learn it?
Right, well I would say, to get to a reasonable level, it probably took me a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, to be able to, manage in a lot of situations. And after that I tried to perfect it as much as possible. I suppose eventually I managed to get a C2 qualification in Spanish, so that probably took me about, maybe about 10 years in total.
But was it hard or?
Sometimes it was hard, yes. I think learning language has some difficulties, obviously. But if you enjoy it, if you work really hard at it, then you can gain success. But sometimes there are days when you think, oh, I'm not getting very far and I don't know much. Or maybe you think you're doing very well, and then maybe you watch a film or something where people are talking very quickly, or you suddenly listen to people who've got different accents, and you think, oh, I don't understand suddenly. So I think it's not always a straightforward journey going up all the time, or it doesn't always feel like that. Sometimes it feels like you're on a plateau and you're not learning very much, but then suddenly again you go up again.
So now you speak very, very, very good in Spanish.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
That's good. So, do you like working in the Lycée Français?
I love working here, yes. It's a great school to work in.
It's a pleasure to hear.
Great. Yeah, it's a lovely atmosphere. The students are really friendly and wonderful, and the teachers as well. I just think it's a great atmosphere about the school.
So, for me, my list is completed. Let's take Milena.
Do you feel that English is less important than other subjects in the school system?
I wouldn't say it's less important. I think it's equally important, but the only problem is that the time dedicated to learning English is less than other subjects, or certainly French, obviously. So from a language point of view, because all of the learning is done, or most of the learning is done in French throughout the school day, obviously people have a better level of French. And English has fewer hours per week, but I don't think that makes it less important. I think people, it's a language which people want to learn as well.
But do you think that pupils think that English is less important?
I don't think so. Maybe there are some like that, but I think mainly they think it's important. The only thing is that perhaps some of them feel less confident with English because they have a lower level, say, compared to French, and because perhaps they've been learning for less time, they may have been in the school for less time. So I don't know, I haven't been in the school long enough to have a full idea, but my feeling is that people take it seriously, yes.
Okay. And what do you like to do besides work?
Well, I like to do lots of things really. I've got lots of interests. Among those are things like keeping up with what's going on in the world, news and current affairs. I love photography. I've got a passion for photography and I try to do it as much as I can. I like travelling when I can as well. I like to read. I like to go to the cinema, to the theatre if possible as well. I like music. I love music. And I do sports as well. I do some sports activities.
Yeah. And what sport do you play?
Among others, I play basketball, usually once a week. I play a bit of football again at the school. Recently, teachers and students have been getting together to play. I play tennis when I can, not so often perhaps, but I do like to play it. And I also play paddle fairly regularly. Those are probably the four main ones that I play regularly. And I like cycling as well.
Thank you.
In English for better than Spanish food?
Well, I would say that overall, yes, I prefer Spanish food, especially as I've lived here now for 28 years or so. I would say that Spanish food has a very high quality, it's got a lot of variety, so yes, I do like it. That's not to say that British food is bad, although traditionally perhaps Britain had less variety of cuisine. But nowadays Britain has also had a lot of influences from other countries, so you can find some very good food in Britain as well. But I think if you go to your average bar or restaurant here in Spain, I think you can find a nice variety of very good food. So yes, I do like it.
Okay. And have you visited Spain?
I have, yes. I'd like to visit more, but I've been to quite a few places over the years. I've been to places like Galicia, Cantabria, Asturias. I've also visited Madrid, Barcelona, Sevilla, Granada. Granada is a lovely city, and a number of other places I've visited. But there are still perhaps more places I'd like to visit. For example, I've never been to País Vasco, and I haven't really travelled a lot in Extremadura, for example. So yeah, places still to visit, but I've travelled a fair amount.
Okay. And do you want to move to any other country?
Do I plan to move to another country?
Yes.
No, not really. No, I don't have any particular plans to move. I'm very happy here in Spain, and even back to Britain. At the moment, I can't see myself going back. I think I've become very used to life here in Spain, and so although I miss my home country, obviously it's very different to Murcia, especially. It's very green compared to Murcia, and I do miss that quite a lot sometimes. And I miss some of the cultural things. Like I was from London more or less. I come from the south of London, so London obviously has a lot to offer compared to say Murcia culturally. But I can't see myself somehow at the moment going back to live in Britain. So yeah, as far as I can see, I plan to stay here in Spain.
So yeah, you say that you miss your old country. That I understand. But your family comes sometimes, or you come to your family?
Yes, I mean recently my mother came at Easter, and my sister came. I can't remember it was the end of the summer last year, and then I normally go back at least once a year, often twice or three times a year, and so yes, I see them as well. So it's a kind of a nice combination.
So what do they think about Spain when they come?
Yeah, they like it. They like Murcia a lot. I mean, obviously, because I've lived here for like 28 years, they've had the opportunity over the years to come, and so they know Murcia fairly well. They enjoy being here. They like the festivities, for example, in Semana Santa and times like that. Yeah, so they like Murcia a lot.
And also I have a question, but not released, and it has nothing to do. But what is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie?
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite difficult. I have a number of films that I really like. I suppose if we talk about different genres, for example, in terms of comedy, One of my favourite films is probably the Life of Brian by the Monty Python team, which is quite an old film now, but very funny in my opinion. And they also did one called The Holy Grail. And then if we're talking about perhaps more serious films, I like a film that I loved watching. I saw it when it was first on at the cinema, and then I've seen it several times recently. 1984, based on the book by George Orwell, which is at the time was a very futuristic vision for the world, which we're now actually living through to some extent. And then I suppose a lot of classic films that I like. Lots of different films really. I find it hard to actually find a favourite as such. A more modern, a more recent film perhaps would be. I watched 1917. I don't know if you've seen that film. It was about the First World War, and I thought that was a really, really good film.
I think there is one thing about there is one question, and it is what do you like about Spain?
What do I like about Spain? Well, I think there are lots of things. Obviously, the cooking, the food is very good. I like the climate in general, although I don't like the excessive heat in the summer. But I like the climate in Murcia in general. And then the people as well are very welcoming and hospitable, so I like that. I like the fact that people are also they don't get too worried about things, they are reasonably relaxed about things. So for example, when you're driving around, if somebody makes a mistake or if they do something, I think they more or less people live and let live. I don't know if you've heard that expression before. Sometimes in Britain people could be a little bit tense if they're driving on the roads or something. Those are the things I like. I like a lot of things about this region. It's got a lot to offer. The coast, for example, is fantastic as well.
I have a question. How do you become a teacher? Because you said that before you don't be a teacher.
That's right. I mean, it was basically 3 years where I was working. So I finished my degree at university, and I did English and drama, theatre. And then I couldn't find a job immediately in those areas, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a teacher, but I had an idea that maybe I would like to be a teacher. But I wanted to be sure, because I felt if I was going to be a teacher, it's not a job to do if you don't like it. Obviously, it's quite a difficult job if you don't like teaching. So I wanted to be absolutely sure. So after 3 years of working in the job centre that I mentioned, because of the type of work I was doing there, and I felt I was teaching people, helping them to learn some new skills, I actually enjoyed that a lot. And I also wanted to learn Spanish, so I decided to combine those two things. So I came to Spain. I did an initial teaching qualification to teach English to foreign students. And then I came to Spain to try out to see whether I liked it, and I really did like it. So that was my decision really to become a teacher. So yes, although it wasn't my original absolute plan when I was at university, I fairly quickly decided that I would like to do it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think this is it. We asked you all the questions that we have. And now it's not to close or whatever do. It's time to say goodbye, all of us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.